Hello everyone, Charles Watts here. Welcome back to Inside Arsenal. Welcome to Craven Cottage, which is just emptying out as I speak after Arsenal's 1-0 win here in the Premier League. 5 wins in a row in all competitions now for Arsenal, maintaining their position at the top of the table. It wasn't pretty by any means, especially in the first half, but it's job done. It's another important win. It's another win at a ground where the last couple of seasons, they've failed to pick up 3 points from, and you could see at the end what it meant to those players. They knew that this wasn't the best of performances. They knew it was a real battle out there, but they got the job done. They found a way to win. That way again came from a set piece. Leandro Trossard on hand to turn in Gabriel's flick on from Bukayo Saka's corner just before the hour mark to get the job done here today. And like I said, and you'll know, you watched it all, it wasn't a thriller. It wasn't pretty at times, but I think it was a deserved win for Arsenal. Fulham didn't have a shot on target in the whole game. David Raya didn't have a save to make, but Leno had a fair few saves to make, and he made them pretty well, saving a couple of times from Victor Gyökeres, saving from Gabriel Martinelli. Great save from Bukayo Saka as well, just after Arsenal had scored. Arsenal thought they'd had a penalty just after the goal as well. It was originally given by Anthony Taylor on field, overturned following a VAR review. I think it was the right decision. I know I've seen a lot of people on social media responding to my tweet when I said, look, he's got a touch on the ball. I think it's probably the right decision. Disagreeing with me, and that's fine, but I'm not sure that's a foul. I'm not sure that's a penalty. Having watched it on the replay, I'm surprised it took Anthony Taylor as long as it did to actually overturn the decision. I think if that had been given at the other end of the pitch, I'd have been feeling very, very aggrieved, I have to say. So I think, just personal opinion, he got that one right. I did fear at the time that was going to sort of shift the momentum a little bit, because Arsenal had just scored. They got their tails up at that point. Saka had almost made it 2-0, and then they got the penalty. And, you know, Fulham at that point were probably thinking, oh, this is game over here. Then suddenly it was overturned, and you felt the crowd get up a little bit. And I was like, oh, is this going to shift the momentum? But again, David Raya didn't have a save to make. Fulham had a couple of corners. They got in a couple of dangerous areas at times in that last sort of 20 minutes, 25 minutes. But Arsenal, not being at their best, still comfortably saw it out. Yeah, it was a big win. I'm just looking now. Ben White's out here. Miles Lewis-Skelly's just walked out. Ethan Nwaneri, Christian Mosquera, Christian Norgard all coming out. They're going to be doing the sort of substitutes warm down in front of me, which should be quite entertaining to watch. But just sort of round up of the game before I get onto my player ratings, which we'll get through. Remember, I'm going to do a much more in-depth reaction show tomorrow. You want to get involved in that show, give me your thoughts on what you've seen here today, what impressed you, what didn't impress you, players you thought performed well. Let me know in the comments below, and I'll pull something together as always and get them included in tomorrow's show. So first half, not much to talk about, to be fair. It wasn't a great first half. Ricardo Calafiori scored a goal that was unbelievable. It was offside, unfortunately, but it was a quality of goal where you just think, you know what, just let that stand. it was clearly offside, but it was just so good. It's rude to rule that one out. It would have been a proper goal of the season contender. Brilliant pinged crossfield pass, great touch from Trossard, first time finish from Calafiori on the run into the top corner. Just deserved to be given as a goal, but it was offside. Other than that, it was just a one Victor Gyökeres shot. The Leno did well to push out after Bukayo Saka had sort of slipped Gyökeres in. It was a nice run, but that was the only shot on target either team had in the first half. It was very, very scrappy. It was very much in keeping, really, with what we've seen from Arsenal versus Fulham games here in the last couple of seasons. Fulham sat so deep, were happy to do that, and then looked to hit Arsenal on the counter. And to be fair, they caused Arsenal some problems. Gabriel, I don't know, he's obviously had a tough week. He's travelled a lot, but a couple of really loose passes in that first half that played Arsenal into real trouble. And on another day, Fulham could have taken advantage. They didn't. They had a couple of shots that sort of drifted just wide. Harry Wilson had one that he put wide that they probably should have done better with. But it was 0-0 at half-time. I wondered at that point if Mikel might change things at half-time. I wasn't convinced he would, but I did. I was sitting next to Tom Canson, and we were saying, is he going to change it? He didn't. He kept it as it was. And I did think Arsenal were much improved in the second half. They caused Fulham more problems. They got the goal just before the hour mark, and it was a classic, Arsenal set piece. Great delivery from Saka. Gabriel flicked it on, and Trossard was at the back post to turn it in. Smart little finish from Trossard. Again, delivering a key goal or a goal involvement, which he does and always has done since he's been at this club. And that was 1-0, and they lifted Arsenal. Saka had a really good effort. It would have been a great goal. Leno saved it well. It was a brilliant little flick from Trossard to set up Saka. Saka got into the box and had shot saved. Then the penalty incident happened. And yeah, like I said, I just felt like that might shift the momentum a little bit and give Fulham a little bit of renewed belief at a time when it looked like it was disappearing from them. But they never really laid a glove on Arsenal in that final period. You know, I was expecting a really nervy ending. There was 9 minutes of stoppage time, but again, it was Leno who was far busier of the two goalkeepers. He made a good double save from Gyökeres and then Martinelli, who had come on as a second half substitute at that point. Gyökeres had worked himself another good shooting position just before that he put over. And Arsenal saw the game out relatively comfortable. Those 9 minutes of injury time, there wasn't really any nervy moments that I thought, oh, here we go, there's an equaliser coming here. And you could tell by the celebrations afterwards. The players went over to the away fans. There wasn't over the top. I mean, Gary Neville and everyone won't be going mad about it. Sorry, it's going to get very loud here at the moment. The stewards are just walking past me, tapping all the seats down. But yeah, the celebrations weren't over the top. You know, you're not going to have Jamie Carragher or Gary Neville going mad about it or anything like that. But you could just see it meant a lot to them after a disappointing couple of results here. And it was a tough afternoon for them, the last couple of results, and they got through it today. And yeah, top of the table, that's all you can ask for at this point, at this stage of the season. After a tough international break, they've had a lot of travel, loads of them been all over the world, and it's just job done here. 1-0, take it. As I said, 5 wins in a row in all competitions. It's 2 games in a row now, I think, in the league where they have not faced a shot on target. It's the first time since 2004 that they have done that. You know, it's an incredible achievement from the defence and the midfield. And so, yeah, they can go home happy. I'm going to go home happy. I don't know how you guys are feeling watching it, but I'm going to go home happy, safe in the knowledge that Arsenal got 3 points tucked away, and we can head back to the Emirates next week for that game against Crystal Palace, which is going to be a big one. Crystal Palace getting a late equaliser to get a 3-3 draw against Bournemouth today. Right, I'm going to move on to some player ratings now. Okay, David Raya. So he didn't have a save to make. I'm going to give David Raya a 6. He didn't have a save to make. He commanded his box well. He came and he played his sweeper role well. So I'm just going to give him 6, David Raya. Won't have many more comfortable afternoons than he's had here today. Timber, I gave Timber a 6. I didn't think this was one of Timber's better games. He was solid defensively. He was solid going forward. I didn't think he had that spark that we've seen from him a bit, and it seems to be improving this season as an attacking force. I didn't quite think he had that today. I don't think he played badly by any means, but I think he's just played. I think the 6 is, to me, feels fair for Jurriën Timber. William Saliba, I gave a 7. It was a real tough battle with Raul Jimenez, who's always causes Arsenal problems here. He's so strong, physically imposing, and it was a good battle with Saliba. I thought Saliba dealt with it pretty well. I gave him a 7. I gave Gabriel a 6. Like I said, I know he got an important flick on for the goal, but I just thought he looked like a player, especially in the first half, who'd flown halfway around the world this week, which of course he has. So I didn't think it was his most assured performance, which you've come to expect from Gabriel. He made a couple of really important headers in the second half, defensively as well, which was great. You expected him to do, but I gave him a 6 rather than a 7 for him. And then Calafiori gave a 7 as well. First half, he was the one highlight of the first half, really, and what was a pretty drab first 45 minutes, him popping up all over the place was just the one highlight. And as I said, so unlucky not to get that goal given, because it was an absolute thing of beauty. It would have been a goal we'd have watched a lot of times over and over again had that been given. So he gets a 7. In midfield, I gave Zubimendi a 7 as well, kept things ticking over, protected the back four well, did what you expect Zubimendi to do, didn't sort of influence things in the final third as much as he has in previous games, but solid defensively, and yeah, he can be happy with his performance. I gave him a 7. I gave Declan Rice a 7 as well. He really grew into the game. I thought Declan Rice is a typical Rice performance, didn't stop working, just running himself into the ground, had a shot just late on in the first half, which I was perfectly positioned for, and tried to whip it into the far corner, and it went just past the far post. It would have been a lovely goal, but just went past the far post. But yeah, I gave Declan Rice a 7 out of 10. Eze struggled. I think he didn't really make too much of an impact in the game. He was replaced in the second half. It was tough. It was, Fulham was sitting so deep. It was really, really congested in that central area, especially in the number 10 role. And he just couldn't really work any space. It just wasn't his night, really. He went off in the second half, but I gave him a 6 out of 10. In attack, Saka, I don't know much more you can say about Bukayo Saka. First half, it wasn't at his scintillating best, but he was still a threat down that right-hand side. The second half, he just caused Fulham so many problems. Like I said, unlucky not to score. Leno made a really good save to deny him, but he just caused Fulham consistently problems down that right-hand side. His touch at times, a couple of first touches he did in the game, the fans around me gasped at how at the quality of it all. He was a standout player on the pitch for me, so he's my man of the match, Bukayo Saka. I gave him an 8 out of 10. Victor Gyökeres, I'm sure this will be another performance that sort of divides opinion when it comes to Gyökeres. Obviously, no goal again for Victor. I thought he had an okay game, though. I thought he had a much better second half than he did first half. Snatched at one effort that he did so well to sort of work himself a shooting position in the second half, the one that he put over. He had a couple that was saved by Leno. I don't think he did much wrong with certainly the one that he shot across Leno in the first half. So I thought it was an okay performance from Victor. Nothing spectacular. Obviously needs to score, needs to be taking one of these chances. You know, he had chances to score today, needs to be taking them. But I didn't think it was a bad performance by any means. I gave him a 6 out of 10. On the left-hand side, we had Trossard, who seemed... I thought Trossard had a good game, even in the first half. I thought he was the one player finding some space out on the left-hand side. And second half, especially after the goal, I thought he did some really nice stuff. Leandro Trossard, again, popping up with a really crucial goal involvement, which is what, as I said at the start, he just does for Arsenal when he plays. So I gave Leo a 7. I thought it was a good performance from him. But yeah, Bukayo Saka was my man of the match with an 8. Substitutes who came on, we had Marino come on, we had Martinelli come on. Martinelli could have scored after Gyökeres' shot was saved. He had a decent chance on the follow-up, but Leno kept that one out as well. Christian Norgard came on right in literally in injury time, so no rating for him. And so that's the player ratings. Let me know again in the comments below if you agree with them, disagree with them. I'll pull some of your comments and your opinions together, get them included in the show tomorrow. But that's pretty much it from me here at Craven Cottage. It wasn't pretty, but it was effective. Arsenal have won again. Arsenal have kept a clean sheet again. Arsenal scored from a set piece again. Arsenal are still top of the table. 5 games in a row. They've won in all competitions. Can't complain, really. Can't complain. Come on, the Arsenal. Speak to you soon. Bye-bye.